Good night, folks. It's Thursday night again, Mike. Guys, as you can see, Don's not here. It's me and Mike, Steve and Mike Burklow. Mike's my brother. He's sitting in this week, and Don is his seminar time. So Don is on the road. He's headed up to By God, West Virginia, and has a seminar there. Then he's on to New Jersey, then Mississippi, New York, Alabama, Kansas, Missouri, Minnesota. He's got just several seminars coming up. He's a great speaker, has a great, the seminar that he's doing, Hunting the Rut, is really a good seminar. If it comes anywhere near, I'd really suggest trying to get in there to see. It's a great seminar. But anyway, as soon as we get back, we're going to take we got several phone calls lined up. Going to have a big night tonight, so stay tuned.
Rise and shine. It's time to hunt.
Repel and kill the bugs that bug you most with the all-natural 100% deep-free BioShield.
You've waited your whole life for this moment. Don't spoil your opportunity because of poor preparation. Keep your optics clean and fog-free for a clear shot every time. Fog Zero.
All right, everybody. We got, before we go into taking some phone calls, we do want to talk about a few things, a couple of questions, some recap. We've been asked several times, and I could never remember, but I did the research and found out. Well, I had to order my seed last week, so that's how I found out. But asked about our favorite blend for food plot planting, and again, our land is in Alabama, southern Alabama. So the blend that I like the most is actually called it's Wildlife Management Seeds. It's WMS. And they have a blend called Deer Magnet, and it's a fabulous blend. It's called Deer Magnet by WMS, and I believe they're located mid-Alabama. So I'm just really not sure, but they're in Alabama. I know that. But it has several different types of clover. I want to say about 5 or 6 different types of clover. What I like to do is get that and then add about 50 pounds of oats per acre to that because it doesn't have any forage oats in it. Put that with it, and it does really, really well. Really greens up fast, and it lasts throughout the season. Of course, Alabama has a long season, so it does great. But it's WMS Deer Magnet. Try it out.
Seems to attract the deer good too.
Oh, it does great. It does outstanding. Last week we talked about some bows. I brought my bow in. We talked about some different things. Tom had a good idea. Talk about a couple of differences in arrows this week. I like myself. I prefer talking about arrows. This is a Easton. It's called a full metal jacket, and it's a combination of carbon and aluminum. Now, the most popular, I'm almost certain, is a all carbon arrow like this, which is what I shot for years. But I found with that all carbon arrow that it was kind of light, and I just wasn't getting the penetration. Actually, it caused me to lose a pretty nice deer. So I switched over to this full metal jacket. It's got a carbon core, and it's wrapped on the outside with aluminum, and it's got a insert that's set. It's called a hidden insert sitting inside of it. But it really, I think it's about it's like 13 grains per inch, I believe. But it's it is really penetrates so much better than that light carbon. If you hadn't tried it, there's another one that they make. I think it's new. It's called the Injection. Those I think are really they penetrate well too. They're smaller diameter than this, if you can believe that. This is pretty small, but full metal jacket. I've been shooting these for 5 or 6 years now and just really like them. The Blazer 2-inch vanes. I know a lot of people shoot 3 and 4-inch vanes, but really popularity now, a lot of people are going to these 2-inch vanes and they fly great. This one just happens to have a lighted knock on it, which, I really wasn't getting into lighted knocks much because, golly, they're pretty expensive. But I tell you what, the older I get and I can't see, it's nice having that lighted knock, man. It looks like a missile when it leaves your bow, and man, you can see it. The best thing about a lighted knock is you can see it go through the deer, and so you know exactly where you hit it because it goes right through them. Mm-hmm. And because a lot of times, even if it's close by and if it's dark or shady, where oftentimes it is, it's hard to see where that arrow hits. But with that lighted knock, it really makes a difference. And I just recently purchased these, Mike. These are pretty neat. These are made by Nocturnal, but it's actually the knock and the fletching is all built into one. Mm-hmm. And they make a little tool that's only about $7 that you buy to push it. So you just buy the raw shaft and you just take and push it on there, and it's the whole thing. It's the fletching and the whole back end of the fletching, if you'll look, is clear. The whole back end of it lights up and the knock lights up. So man, you talk about really, this right here, it looked like,
from a distance.
Look like 5 missiles going. I mean, it's really bright. So it's really nice. Plus, finding your arrow after you shoot the deer, it'll stay lit up for a long time. But anyway, that's about it with arrows. And also, of course, going back, before carbon, of course, it was all aluminum arrows. That's where Mike and I started. Back in the early 80s, it was just aluminum. Well, of course, before that's wood, but not many, unless you're doing traditional archery, then you're shooting wood, but aluminum was all that was available. It was just aluminum. And I don't know, most people shot the big diameter aluminum. I mean, they were big arrows. Yeah. And then carbon got popular. But, and talking about tips, as far as broadheads versus expandables, of course, broadheads were all that was available back in the early 80s. Really, there was Bear and there was Rocky Mountain. Mm-hmm. That was about it.
Yeah. Come a long way.
Yeah, to begin with, but I lean towards an expandable. Personally, I like the Grim Reaper expandable. I like to cut as wide a cut as I can get. So I do the 2 3/4 inch cut. But I really like it. And but now I have nothing against the fixed blades either, because the fixed blades, they cut on contact. They're outstanding. I like to know that I don't have to practice with an expandable. I just practice with a field point, and I'm ready to go. Don't ever have to practice because it flies just like that expandable. So that's one advantage. But anyway, all right, guys. Now we're going to move into just real quickly go into some tree stand safety, and Mike's going to go through that with you.
Well, Tom was looking up some research on that while we were sitting here waiting, and he found out that 10% of the hunters who use tree stands are injured while using tree stand.
Yeah, 10%.
At some
That's
time
a lot.
at least, and yeah, that is quite a bit. And evidently, a study of UAV there in Birmingham looked at hunting accidents across the U.S. from 2000 2007, mm-hmm. and found out that there were almost 47,000 injuries. There were
in
evidently
7 years?
Yeah, that were reported. I mean, that doesn't even count those that weren't reported.
Yeah.
Associated with tree stands. And so the average 5,800 tree stands related injuries per year.
That's too much.
Man,
too much.
That's a lot.
A lot of deaths too. A lot of deaths.
And we've been touched by people that's been injured, and doing what we'd like to do most. I know that hunting for you and hunting for me and hunting for a lot of people, that's their favorite thing to do. Their hobby-wise.
Yeah.
And,
you can quickly become.
yeah, and you got to be safe out there. Definitely want to use a harness.
Yeah, I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Trimming some limbs about 5 years ago. Just got up middle of the day just to trim. Luckily, I had my brother-in-law was there with me. Got up, trimmed some limbs, and man, I fell. It's stupid on my part. Wasn't hooked up to the lifeline, and I fell about 30 feet. Just very fortunate, but that woke us all up right there. We don't leave the ground without being hooked up to a lifeline at all.
I tell you another thing, if I'm not mistaken, that you did, that might have been wrong, you didn't have a good, well-made tree stand.
That's exactly right. We had one that was
homemade tree stand.
Kind of homemade lock-on stand, and the stand was okay, but the problem was the rigging harness that held the tree stand on the tree. It was not the same material as you would. It was just subpar, and man, it broke, and down I went.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Steve was talking about whenever we started out bow hunting, using those aluminum arrows. One of the big reasons that people have injuries today is not having their hands free, not having your hands free.
Right.
You probably reach to grab something and you're trying to hold your bow, hold your gun, or do something, and you slip and fall. Well, that's another main reason for a lot of these accidents.
So when you're climbing, don't.
So pull it up. But I remember, whenever I whenever I bow hunt, I'd stick that bow around me and try to climb. I remember getting up to the tree, and if my stand was not up against the tree good enough, I'd take my stand apart in the tree and come up and tighten it up some more so I could get higher.
Lord, don't do that unless you're securely hooked up to that tree. And I know
to do that.
When I'm in a climber, I'm moving your lifeline belt up the tree as you climb, because most of your climber injuries occur going up and down the tree. So you definitely want to be hooked up.
And it's not a bad idea. It's a real good idea for the platform to be connected to your seat. I mean, to your foot platform.
Right. In case
because I've had it fall out from under me, and I'm gonna tell you something. Whenever it wasn't connected, thank goodness it didn't fall very far. But whenever it falls and your legs are just hanging down there,
that's dangerous.
Oh man, that's tough.
It is, and I've heard of people doing it, so it's tough. It's tough. So you have to shimmy down the tree like a coon then.
Yeah,
and that's pretty dangerous. So
yeah, I mean, I was able to get to mine, but man, I can't imagine if I'd had to be there an hour.
Yeah, it'd get dangerous quick. So, well, there's 5 safety tips. Use quality tree stands. Is of course, I learned the lesson on that. Use a harness. Always use a harness, and really. And
you need a good harness too.
A good harness. I was going to say, I'd really recommend getting one that hooks up to your legs and your upper body. That's all that I use. Just one going around your waist. If you think about it, you fall with that one around your waist. It doesn't take long, and you're in trouble unless you got somebody there to help you. So a full body harness is definitely the way to go. Don't carry equipment while climbing up or down, like you said. And that's one of the tips. Have a schedule. Always let somebody know if you got a hunting club or hunting with somebody. They need to know where you're at. If they don't know where you're at, and then that's a bad situation.
A lot of people hunt and they have their cell phones and stuff today.
Yeah,
it's real easy to be in communication with people, but if you slip and fall, you might not be able to get to it, or you might drop it.
Right.
So you do need to keep that schedule.
Carry emergency equipment. Let's see, found by another hunter. Let's see. Like emergency stuff to keep with you in case you do get injured.
Whenever we went to the show, there in Indiana, you remember hearing about that hunter? We stopped to spend the night, and that morning, whenever we got up, a hunter had gone hunting the afternoon before. He had gotten lost, but
I remember that.
And it was 10 degrees in the morning
Yeah,
or 4
right,
degrees, 5
right.
degrees. And
Very
you know,
dangerous
if
conditions.
if you're in a say a tree and you fall or something and you're injured, and can't get out or something and can't make communication, other people need to know where you're at. Or you know, nobody knew where he was at. Well, they did know where he was at. He was just in a big area.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope that turned out okay.
Yeah, yeah, right. All right, guys, we're moving on. It looks like we got a phone call coming in. Yep, here it is. Good night, Steve Burklow, Mike Burklow. Who we got?
Jonathan Atkins.
All right, Big John. How you tonight?
I'm doing good. How you all?
All right. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Miles, Kentucky.
Miles, Kentucky. All right, man.
The sleeper state.
Man, yeah, it's got the big bucks.
Man.
Nice ones up there.
It's big in here.
I heard that, man. All right. Well, John, what's your question tonight?
Well, I've been a hunting ever since I was 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I've used every kind of products you can probably name besides Urals. What makes Urals so different than theirs?
Well, you want to take it or you want me?
First of all, our scent defense is all natural.
Yeah.
It's all natural products, so it doesn't alarm the game. It's, you know, they've smelled it. It's something that they would have smelled before. And that's the way all three of the scent defense lines are: the laundry detergent, shampoo, and body wash, and the spray. The top secret, of course, what makes it so unique is it's collected straight from the doe from collection and goes straight into the bottle without ever hitting oxygen. So it's just like if the doe stopped right there, basically bedded down for you, and every once in a while stood up and, you know, put some scent out for you.
Well, John, it's like it's like you know, when you've seen every other scent that's on the market, it comes. If you looked at it, what color is it?
It's usually real dark.
Right.
Real dark color.
Exactly. Well, and that's the reason. If I don't know if you're watching the show while you're talking on the phone, but this is ours. It's a clear yellow, and the reason is no oxygen. So it's a huge difference. Basically, no oxygen tells you a deer's there now instead of a deer was there sometime, like all the other ones that are already ammoniated by oxygen. So very fresh. Man, I tell you, it works. It works. So, but that's the main reason. No oxygen, very fresh.
Well, I was going to get back to the scent defense too, real quick. Not only is it all natural, but all those all natural products together repel insects. So if you're hunting during a time of the year where that is a problem, then you've got something that you can use while you're deer hunting. That there's nothing like that's available.
Right.
That's the main thing that makes it different. Nothing like that's available. So deer aren't alarmed by it. It repels the insects. You don't have to worry about these ticks that are so dangerous today. And Steve and I, being pharmacists, you know, we always wondered, how come there's not something out there that we can use that won't alarm the game, that we can use for these insects? Because Kentucky, you probably got it just as bad
Ticks.
during the beginning of hunting season, but in Alabama, South Alabama, and Florida,
Woo, they're bad.
I mean, you almost have insects year round. And I mean, it's really a needed product. And we just saw the need for it and thought, nobody's going to do it. Let's sit down and let's put it together.
Yeah. Jonathan, do you bow hunt?
Yeah, I bow hunt and gun hunt.
Well,
I'd rather bow hunt than I would gun hunt.
man, you my kind of guy then. I tell you what, Jonathan, do this. And I'm not just telling you for this, but to sell the product. But pick you up. We make one. We make it in a foam. But try the buck urine in foam. Man, I tell you, that first day of the season, I did it last year and had an 8-point and killed an 8-point with it. But he got on the trail. He just wanted to see who the new guy on the block was, and trailed it into my stand. But buck urine foam, it's just easy to use. Stays oxygen free the whole time. It's 8 ounces. Man, I tell you what, it really worked for me that day. But that'd be something to try. See how you like the product.
Yeah, I'll try it.
All right.
I think it's 2012. Yeah, 2012. And I was the farm that I hunt all the time. I was bush hogging. Kept on seeing these two deer together. Boy, that's monsters. I went back, I seen that. Next time I got set down, they got on top of that. Oh, God.
Wow.
About to reach out and grab one of them.
Well, fantastic.
And he was using the top secret there?
You were using what now?
I think I was using dead downwind that day. I believe it was.
Right. All
I
right.
believe it was no cover scene. I didn't have no
No attractant.
lure out.
Right.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Well, don't be afraid to use that scent defense, to spray it over and over while you're in the stand, too.
Man.
Because,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to harm them. And then, we found out that the deer actually like it,
Man, they come to it with
and don't mind it. And
they
so,
they come licking for it.
You don't need to be up there,
Swatting
doing
flies
this
and mosquitoes.
So now we got something to take care of them.
Well, man, show us, send us a picture of that big old buck you're going to kill with that buck urine this year.
Okay, I'm sure we'll do it.
Jonathan, we appreciate you calling in.
If I kill one, I'll send y'all a picture of it.
All right, do it.
All right, we appreciate you calling in.
All right.
Thank you now. All right, let's see, we're going to go to, we got a question, a Ustream question coming in. Mike, it says, is there a difference in effectiveness between the foam and bottle urine? Is one stronger? Talking about this as opposed to foam. Well, as far as effectiveness goes, no, they're both the same. It's just this is in a foam and this is liquid. Now, honestly, myself, I kind of prefer the foam just because of the ease of the use of it. It's just so easy to use. And it fits so good in the pocket. You just whip it out, boop, boop, and foam it on there. And that foam, it stays out for a good while.
Right.
It really stays right there for a good amount of time. So I prefer the foam, but as far as the effectiveness, they're both the same.
Yeah, and they're as far as the scent wise, smell wise, they're going to be just as strong as each other. But yeah, I'm like you. I really like the ease and the cleanliness of using that foam, because you can just, and actually with that foam, you sort of do like that, and you can throw that stuff over there.
Yeah.
You can throw it 10 feet.
Right.
And,
you don't want to get it on you. This stuff doesn't smell too
man,
good.
you can make a you can make on trail where you want them to walk and everything. And
right.
several people I've talked to, have just basically given me a testimony using one product or the other, how deer have come right down the trail. Some people have said, I used it on a decoy, and they circled, and when they hit that trail, they came in. Some people have used it and actually put it on a stump, on a log laying there, and just put it on there, and they just circled around the log several times, and finally he killed one that morning. It was like the third or fourth buck that he saw that morning.
Wow.
Came in and just circled the log and would go on, and he shot one.
Well, remember last year, we went out middle of the day, of the day, and Mike set a scent trail.
Sure did.
And jumped up in we jumped up in a ladder stand, and I got above Mike and put a little lock on right quick. And in the middle of the day, we had what was it?
A little 3 or 4 point.
He come, and what Mike did, he laid the trail about 15 yards, which is absolutely my favorite shot. He put it 15 yards right out in front of the stand, so we get a good broadside shot, and he followed that to a T.
And stopped right in front of us and looked right up at us, and I filmed him with my phone.
He was trying to tell me to shoot, and I was like, I didn't hear him, or I would have smoked that
The only
deer.
reason I was telling you to shoot, because it was a cull buck.
Yeah, I didn't. I was afraid I'd get in trouble, so I didn't shoot him, but it works great. Well, folks, we're going to go to a commercial, and we'll be right back.
Rise and shine. It's time to hunt.
Repel and kill the bugs that bug you most with the all-natural 100% deep-free BioShield.
You've waited your whole life for this moment. Don't spoil your opportunity because of poor preparation. Keep your optics clean and fog-free for a clear shot every time. Fog Zero.
All right, guys, we're back. Mike, shoot, I think we got another caller on the phone.
All right.
Tom, yep, there it is. Good night. You got Steve and Mike Burklow. Who we got?
Kim Brandt.
Big Jim. How you doing tonight, Jim? Kim.
Oh,
Kim
no.
Brandt. I'm sorry.
Yep.
All right.
Not too bad, fellas. How you doing?
All right.
Good.
All right. Where are you from?
St. Joe, Missouri.
All right. Y'all got a pretty long season there, Missouri, don't you?
Bow season, yeah.
Bow season. Yeah. All right. Well, what's your question tonight?
I'm going to be hunting a spot that I am not going to get to pre-scout, so I'm going in blind. And it will help as to what you guys think on where I should set up and how I should go about improving my odds.
I heard that. Yeah, and I know you sent the map ahead of time. I wasn't sure which caller was Tom was talking about, but yeah, Mike wanted to take this question, and Mike is a very good authority on stand placement. So, Mike, why don't you take over on that one?
Hey, Kim, how far, what the picture I'm looking at on the TV monitor and stuff, does it, to the east and west, is that all your property?
No.
Where does your stop, east and west?
The 3-finger clearing there on the left side, that is part of the hunting of the property that I'm in, and let's see,
That big part of woods right there to the east, is that you?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
On the left-hand side there, pretty much that 3-finger looking hand clearing.
Okay. What about to the west, that sort of that narrow neck through there, is that you?
I'm not sure if that narrow neck is part of us or not.
Okay, now if that neck right there is you, I would definitely have a stand in the lower end, say at least 2 stands, so you could hunt on 2 different winds, one being a north wind, one being a south wind. On those 3 fingers that looks just like 3 fingers laying there, I wouldn't place a stand in the very back of it, but I would have a stand. I would place a stand east and west side of it, because I would expect the deer to come from that creek. Okay? And if you put your stand directly in the very back, are you mainly going to be bow hunting, you said?
No, this is going to be for rifle season.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, you can sort of make a good long shot. So I would sort of get away from that very, very back as far as that you would be comfortable making a shot, because that's where I would expect them to be coming from, without a doubt.
Now, when you say from the back, you're talking
from the north. From the
Mike,
north.
turn that paper and show them on the screen there.
Okay.
If you could get closer and show them where you're talking about.
I would be trying to get.
You might want to get up there right beside it and show.
Okay, right here, on these points right here. Not at the very tip, but just as
Between
just
the creek
far
and
out
those.
on that peninsula of woods.
Yeah. Kind of between the creek and those points.
Correct.
Yeah.
Expecting them to come from the creek there.
Right.
And hope for a north. You want to hunt with a north wind hitting you in the face coming from that creek. Now you could also hunt it with the northwest or west wind according where you place your stands. You could go to the other side and hunt with the east wind, northeast wind. The only thing you wouldn't be able to do, I would not ever hunt any of those with a south wind, with a south, southeast, southwest wind, because you're going to be pushing your scent up in there right where I would expect them to be coming.
okay.
Also, that big part of woods to the west, even though it's not you, I'm sure you're going to have deer coming out.
You'll be drawing them from over there.
So that finger that comes out the furthest right there to the west, I would probably have a stand right there on that almost on that very tip somewhere, looking straight east, and hunt that with an east wind. And So you could easily have 5 or 6 stands. I would probably, at first when Steve and I were looking at this, I was thinking, man, I would be back in there on that creek somewhere. But I just don't think I'd be in that creek because you got to, you sort of getting in where they're sort of living back in there. You got to give them a little area of refuge, I think. But now that neck of woods to the west, you think it may be you, I mean, that's a bottleneck. I mean, that's the perfect little bottleneck area. I'd definitely have a stand right there because it looks like there's another field just off the monitor there to the east. I mean, to the west. No, wait, that's to the east, isn't it? I mean, that's to the west. And I'm getting my directions mixed up. But and it looks like a pretty good sized field, so I think they're going to be traveling that bottleneck right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I'll have to see if we can find out if that's part of us or not. I'm simply not sure.
right.
Yeah, that would be one of the very first things I find out about is that little bottleneck area. And the north part of it is where I think you would have the best luck because you're going to be right along that creek, and they want to stay hidden, as long as possible.
Yeah.
They're going to use every bit of woods as they can.
Is there going to be anything planted in the field or?
Yeah, that's another good question.
By the time rifle season comes along, it should be
Be gone.
Should be gone.
Yeah. So they really probably no real reason for the deer to come out on the field. So
Will you be able to plant green fields out there at all?
yeah. Are you going to be able to plant a green field back there or no?
I don't have any idea what's going to be planted back there.
Right. Well, assuming that there's nothing planted, then yeah, being between the creek and those fingers, it seems like where that'd be where they're traveling. Because a lot of times now, them bucks will circle those fingers looking for does out there. So you'll be right on amongst them right there.
Yeah. And what kind of terrain is that as far as trees wise? Is that all hardwoods or is it?
They may not know.
I don't know because I haven't been there.
Yeah, that would I keep forgetting that. That would be another thing to find out is if that's a ridge, some kind of hardwood ridge or something.
Probably is.
They're going to be following that, just feeding right there.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I can tell you from knowing the general area, it's quite hilly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When I say hilly, we're talking northwest Missouri hills, not Wisconsin hills.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's still hilly.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So probably hardwoods, but so you'll be able to see well.
It looks nice and thick enough to hold quite a bit of deer.
So when you kill that big one, email us a picture.
Please. Yeah.
We'll
Say that again.
I said when you kill that big one, email us a picture and we'll put you in the trophy room.
Fair enough.
All right.
Tell us where you killed it at too. I'd like to.
Yeah, and tell us where you killed it on that map. We'd really love to hear about that.
Sure, I'll do my best.
All right, bud. Well, hey, good luck and thanks for calling in.
Hey, not a problem. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night. All right. He's got him set up pretty nice place there. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Tom says we're going to Facebook. All right. So this is Marty Havens. Do you have any suggestions of judging deer age from the tree stand? And I know Mike's is really, really knowledgeable on this subject, so I'm going to let him talk to you about it.
Well, whenever I'm sitting there judging a deer, unfortunately, I'm probably doing it the wrong way right off the bat because I look right at their horns and try to judge them. If it's a small basket rack, I just almost right away say, year and a half, 2.5-year-old deer right away. But if I'm given if I'm given time to look at them for any amount of time, fortunately, I've been in the woods enough to judge a deer size.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
If it's sort of a small deer with a small rack, usually that's a young deer.
Yeah.
And if it's a heavy deer, and he's got a small rack, that's probably an older deer. That's probably a mature deer. and if it's light enough to tell if he's a dark colored deer, and he's got that old deep neck, and, if he's got a pot belly, heavy, that's going to be more of I'm going to judge that as an older deer.
Right.
And if he's just sporting around a 6-point rack or something, he's probably going down.
Oh, yeah.
He may be even past 6.5 years old.
Right.
I killed a 7-point. I mean, it had brow tines that were about 5 inches long, and just had a palmated horn coming out the other side. But he weighed over 200 pounds, so I would say he was well going down.
Right.
6 years old.
Well, and like you said, with that neck, a quick glance, what you can really tell a mature deer is that neck, and as opposed to the body. I wish we had a decoy here we could tell you, but when the deer's standing there and the bottom of the neck, where it comes into the bottom of the deer's body, if it goes right into the bottom of it and there's no little swell right there, that's a mature buck. Now, if it goes in and it curves down and then goes, that's a younger. The older they get, the more that neck just goes straight into their body. And they have that, and their nose, funny, believe it or not, their nose, they get short. They get shorter and fatter. Yeah. But definitely that neck going into the body is a big indicator. And body size, of course.
And they say, the older they get, the more sway back they get.
Right.
That's hard for me to judge from a tree stand.
That's a little tougher, yeah.
I would almost have to go up to the deer and say, "Here, please, let me."
Yeah,
you got to sway back.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, but the neck going into the body and actual body size, if you've been hunting long enough, you can tell, wow, the difference. And hey, that deer, if you can judge it over 200 pounds or, usually you can tell.
Yeah, and you have deer whenever they're going down horn size, when they don't eat it, all they're interested in is eating. That's why they get so fat.
Right.
I mean, just a fat
they don't
old,
chase the does
fat old man.
like they used to.
They're less interested in chasing does because they can't keep up.
Right. Yeah, and they'll have a big old pot belly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we got another phone caller here. We'll take it. All right. Like he said. Yep. Nope.
Oh, we live, ain't we?
Yep. Oh, there he is. All right. You got Stephen Mike Burklow. Who we got?
Sir?
Hey, you got Stephen Mike. Who are we speaking to?
Can you repeat that one more time? I'm sorry.
That's all right. Well, hey, who am I speaking with? This is Stephen Mike Burklow.
Day.
All right. All right. Drew, you said?
Yes, sir.
All right. Drew, where are you from?
Alabama.
All right.
All right. All right.
Well, he needs some scent defense for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Drew, what's your question tonight?
Well, what's the largest buck that's killed with y'all's scent and all that? And how does it work?
What was the first part of the question again? I'm sorry, Drew.
What's the biggest buck y'all killed, because of the scent stuff?
Well, good question. I tell you what, the new Alabama state record typical buck was taken 2 years ago using the estrus foam. So a big one, a real big one.
That guy in Kentucky killed that big one too.
Yeah, I had a guy last year in Kentucky killed a real nice buck with the estrus as well. So yeah, and what was the second part of the question? How do you?
How does it work?
Well, we got a couple of different things. We got the buck urine. The buck urine, which you use all season long, from the first day of bow season all the way through the end of the season. Buck urine, the more you use it, first of the season, use it closer to the rut, it gets a little better. But it just lets them know, hey, there's another buck out there in the woods, and they just want to come see who the new guy is. So the buck urine, that's what I use it every day. Now, the estrus, of course, you want to start adding the estrus as soon as you start seeing does starting being chased by those bucks. Then you put the estrus in. So, man, I tell you what, the hot mama estrus, it's oxygen free, is a game changer. It makes a huge difference. Mm-hmm. And you can foam them together buck urine and the foam, the estrus together, and you can actually simulate a buck chasing a doe going into your stand. And man, I tell you what, it's a deadly combination.
That's nice.
But I don't know if you've tried it, but of course you see the way we talk, we lean towards the foam because it's just easy to use, and I tell you what, it lasts a long time. And I know I've used other scents before, and it spooked the does sometimes. It'll run them off. Yeah. I've never had that happen with Top Secret. It does not spook does. And man, I tell you what, I had several bucks last year come right out looking for it and got on the trail smelling it, just trying to find out where that smell's coming from.
Yeah.
Just
like that one that we talked about a while ago.
Yeah, midday.
We just thought we'd go to the stand, just see what we could do.
Yeah, the scent pulled him over there.
Steve, there he is, right in front of us.
Yeah, but give us a try, and if you take a big one up there in Alabama, man, send us a picture.
I will.
Do you hunt? Do you hunt mainly just hunt in Alabama?
Yes, sir.
Where is Phoenix?
Is it Phoenix City? It's over there.
You know where Columbus, Georgia is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Phoenix City.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you got some good deer.
Yeah. Well, do y'all hit? Does a peak of the rut hit? I know Georgia has a strain of deer that they sort of come into the peak of the rut sort of early. Do y'all have any of that?
Yeah, they come in real early.
Yeah.
In Phoenix City, they do.
Well, not real early, but
before Christmas.
At the same time.
Wow.
Do they do it before Christmas?
It's a little bit before, but mainly during Christmas.
Right.
Yeah,
that's what I heard.
That's a solid 3 or 4 weeks prior to where ours does. So yeah, it's wow. Well, man, hey, we appreciate you calling in, Drew. Man, good luck this year, and try you some Top Secret.
Be sure and use a grunt along with it too, as a peak of the rut hits too.
Right.
Deadly combination.
Yeah, well, I will.
All right, man. Appreciate you calling in.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. Let's see here. Tom's saying we got a Ustream question. Mike says, I hunt in North Florida. Season starts September the 19th.
Man.
That's early. Should I use buck first? Buck urine. When should I use both, doe and buck? That's a good question. We kind of just answered.
That's a real good question.
You want to hit it?
Well, definitely start out using buck. And again, I like the foam. Steve likes the foam, but I would definitely start using the foam and foam the way into your stand.
That's the buck urine foam and
as later the season gets, and when you start noticing rubs on the trees, that's a pretty good indication when you're starting to get closer to the peak of the rut. Mm-hmm. And I would start using the doe and the buck together. But I would definitely go with the doe and buck as January got closer.
Yeah. All right.
And also use that grunt, like how we were telling Andrew, that grunt a lot whenever they start pushing on those does.
Absolutely.
Man, it's so deadly.
Yeah. All right, we got another Top Secret website question. Jim Cheney from Birmingham, Alabama says, looks like he's going on a big elk hunt next month. He said, will scent defense field spray spook the elk? And how do we know deer love this scent? Good question.
Well, if they come up and lick his hand, maybe
the reason we know, Jim, is because extensive testing, the testing showed that deer of all sizes and ages, all the way from spotted fawns all the way up to very mature bucks, they all come in the same way. They come in licking their noses like that, like a windshield wiper. They come in licking, look. They love the scent. It's a natural scent. So we used it last year, had deer come to it. So, and as far as the elk, Mike, I really don't think it's going to spook an elk. I really don't think so. I'm not going to say to 100% certainty it's not going to spook you elk, and then here it comes, and then it happens. So, but I really think I think it's not going to, because it's a natural.
I wish he would try it and let us know.
Definitely try it and let us know, because it definitely keep the bugs off of you. But really don't think it's going to spook you out.
Yeah, and it's all natural. It's an all natural. I mean,
Right.
you know, it's not anything unusual.
It's not offensive.
I mean, it has a sort of a citrus honeysuckle smell, which honeysuckle smell might not be out west, but if you were to drop a load of honeysuckle off, I guarantee you those elk aren't going to run from the honeysuckles.
That's right. And I tell you, if a white-tailed deer is comfortable with it, then likely an
Yes.
elk is, because them whitetails, of course, are very
Right.
skittish. So I really feel like you'll have success with it. So
If it doesn't spook them.
yeah, right. Well, hope that answered your question. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Rise and shine. It's time to hunt.
Repel and kill the bugs that bug you most with the all-natural 100% deep-free BioShield.
You've waited your whole life for this moment. Don't spoil your opportunity because of poor preparation. Keep your optics clean and fog-free for a clear shot every time. Fog Zero.
All right. We're back, and we're going to take a quick Facebook question. This is from Alton Horn in Springfield, Missouri. He says, I've heard that hunting a scrape right after a rain is best because the buck or bucks will want to refresh the scrape. Is this true, Mike?
Most definitely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And that's where you, that's
Especially, yes.
that's where you want to use your hot mama.
And
Hot mama
especially as you're
estrus.
getting closer to the peak, Mother Nature, those bucks, that's the Mother Nature and those bucks pushing those does to finally stop and stand. And as you get closer to the peak, to the point to where the doe is starting to get ready to stop and stand, it's like those bucks are just, up and moving and pushing them. Now it's starting. Now, if you have a rainstorm, a cold front, or something like that come through, it's almost like they get mad about it, And I've got
to get back out
it
there.
It amplifies it.
Right.
Got to get up. Got to get going.
Right.
It's Mother Nature's telling me I got to do this.
Right. Yes. Answer your question. Big time. Yes, they won't. Get on it. Put your hot mama with it.
Yeah.
And you probably kill that old biggin.
And grunt. And grunt.
And grunt. That's right. All right. We got a phone call coming in. Looks like. Yep. All right. You got Steve and Mike Burklow. Who we got?
We got Paul. How you doing, Steve? Mike, how you doing?
Man, we're great. We're great. Where are you calling from, Paul?
Atlantic City, New Jersey.
All right, man. You way up there. All right. Y'all got the big deer up there?
We have a few. Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, but if you work hard at it, even off season, in season, you pretty much figure them out.
Well,
I gotta tell you, I was a little disappointed. I was all set to go see Don up there today. He's only like 20 minutes up the road. They canceled.
oh, really?
Yeah, so I think Shelby said that they're going to reschedule for October.
Oh, is that right? Well, I'll be daggone.
Yeah, I
Huh.
was really looking forward to that.
Man, it's a great seminar, and I apologize for that. I hate that. He stays super busy this time of year on those seminars, but don't give up on us. He'll.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no.
He's
really anxious to try the product out
Yeah.
this year.
well, fantastic. And hey, I think Tom said you were a club member. Is that right?
Yes.
Man, hey, look, we appreciate that, and man, I tell you, I love the stuff, and Mike and I, we used it last year and had great success with it, and I think you will, and when you do, we sure want to hear about it and see some pictures. So, but what's your question tonight, Paul?
I have a couple, if you could bear with me.
Sure.
Okay, there's a lot of talk about the moon phases. Could you talk a little bit about moon overhead and moon underfoot and what it does to the deer movement in the rut and the non-rut periods?
All right.
Well, I think in the non-rut period, moon being straight, I think it definitely has an effect because, I think there's several factors, but the biggest factor is the predator factor because at nighttime, when the moon is straight up, deer can be seen easier by predators. Mm-hmm. Deer can see just fine, but they can be seen even better. But now, during a full moon, when the moon is up, you just don't have the luck that you do. Well, I don't. Now I've heard people say during that full moon stage, hunt all day long. I just don't have the luck. I just don't have that luck whenever the full moon is going.
I agree. Yeah.
I just don't have that luck.
No, I think you're right.
I think they eat all night long almost, or can move. They might not eat all night long. I mean, goodness gracious, but they can move. They have the ability and choice to move all night long. And again, I always say Mother Nature. It's just instinct in them that says, this is the way this is the way we ought to do it to be safe.
Right.
And so
That's
it
right.
makes day hunting, for us that hunt legal,
Right.
it makes it a lot harder for us during those phases.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I whenever it's a full moon, I'm not as excited because I know the movement's going to be less.
Right.
And but now when it comes to the rut, it's kind of throw that off because a lot of times it don't matter.
Yes.
Now for a buck, looking for does.
If the moon is straight up during the daytime, I have found that the deer are really moving a lot better.
Me too.
I have looked straight up at the moon and have seen it straight up, and have counted deer after deer after deer sitting in the afternoon.
Mike, I feel the exact same way. For some reason, when he's talking about during the daytime,
Right.
when that moon is straight up, I don't know what it is. I guess
They say a
man, it's
magnetic
like a light.
pull or something.
Yeah, it's like a light switch, and man, that's when you want to be out there.
Mm-hmm.
Popular belief is that everybody's hot on the full moon. And
That's
I
right.
agree that the full moon is a lot tougher for me to hunt.
It is.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And everybody that we hunt with,
Yeah.
seems to have the same luck. Even in the beginning of bow season,
Right.
the full moon seems to fall or coincide right there towards the beginning of bow season, and that's almost the
Yeah,
worst
it
time of year.
Yeah.
Or that's when it always seems to be real slow and stuff.
Right.
We can be planting green fields, seeing deer. Then all of a sudden, bow season opens up
Full moon.
right there close to the full moon, and we don't see no deer.
Right.
We might see a buck. We might see a couple of does, but
Yeah. That's right. Well, Paul, I hope that answered that question. Did you say you had another question?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
How much stock do you put in the major and minor game activity forecasts?
Well, you want to give your take? Mike, give your take.
I put stock into it. I don't put the old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I sure don't do that, but I always give it a chance, if you know what I mean. If they say the major game movement's going to be between 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to be there.
Right.
But I'm going to be sure that they're either right or wrong.
Right.
And a lot of times, one thing's for sure that, we've been told, you're not going to kill him if you're not in the woods.
Well, that's true. And Paul, my take on it, and it's funny you asked that question because I do check it. And I did a little survey last year with it, being in Alabama, and I found about 60% of the time that it's pretty much on when they say major or minor. It's pretty much on.
Yeah.
So about 60%, but
and factors can come into that.
Yeah, weather factors and all.
Weather factors can come into it for sure. You could have real bad weather and
Yeah.
that's going to hold them down. It could be lockdown time of the year where, you know, bucks are staying close to the does and they're bedded down, staying bed down and stuff.
Right.
Now, I have a question about the scent defense.
Okay.
I've had my trail cameras in the woods. I don't go in there and put a lot of pressure.
Right.
I've had the cameras in there for about 2 weeks now. I'm about fixing to go up there and take the cards out of it and check them. Do you think it would be conducive if I went in there and just took some of that scent defense while I'm going in there and spraying around on a limb or a leaf here and there and get them used to it?
Absolutely. Yeah, matter of fact, it's funny you ask. I thought about doing the same thing when I was, we kind of like to kind of start putting some corn out right about 3 or 4 weeks before the season opens and just get the deer in the area. And I'd plan to do the same thing, is kind of spray some scent defense around, and because it is an attractant, and get them familiar with it. And but it's funny you ask, Paul. Exactly the same thing is my thought.
And
yeah, I thought I would spray a little on my boots while I walk around from camera to camera and just try to get them used to it in that area. And then I think by season's open, they'll be pretty much used to it. And if they like it, like you say they do, it's like a calming thing to them.
Right. Exactly. So, well, yeah, exactly.
You know, just a story for you, Paul. Whenever I was I think you watch a show. You know, Steve and I are pharmacists. I was there at the store one day and got off at 2:00, and went to the house and showered real quick, and because I'm a firm believer in, you know, take the shower down with a scent defense and everything, and we were getting sort of close to the peak of the rut. Long story short, I didn't get into the woods till almost 4:00. But now when I went to the woods, I just took my time. Once I finally made it there, I mean, I sprayed down with a scent defense. And this is late January. And people say, well, you know, this is, you know, it repels insects. Well, it's also got the silver and copper enzyme in it, which kills the bacteria that causes human odor. So I'm sprayed down real good with the scent defense. And I'm spraying that foam, buck, doe, left to my left, to my right, as I walk down the road, coming in behind a green field. Now, I go in and sit down in that green field, and I haven't been there. In fact, I text my dad and let him know that I had moved into a stand. We're on our own property, so it doesn't, you know, we don't have to, you know, worry about walking by a club member or something. Thank goodness. And I told him I was, you know, was in the stand and sitting down and would meet him, you know, right after dark, which would only be a little over an hour of hunting. I had not been there maybe 15 or 20 minutes, tops 20 minutes, and a real nice 8-point had walked straight down that trail and walked right out in that green field. And the bad part about it is I could have shot it with a bow. But I shot it with my rifle. But it came out so close, it followed me all the way down. And I text my dad, I text him a picture of the deer laying on the ground. Yeah. And he said, where did that one come from? Or where did that come from? I said, I just shot it.
I wish we had a picture of it.
And he didn't believe me. Yeah, because it happened so fast.
Yeah. And
but he hit in on that trail of the hot mama, just came right on in.
Yeah.
I'll give you a little, when we were talking about safety.
Mm-hmm.
When you I'm going to tell you a little story that happened to a friend of mine, then I'm going to get off the air. I'm going to let other people talk. He was lowering his bow down. It was in the winter. It was winter bow.
Mm-hmm.
He was lowering his bow down, and it got to swinging down at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And the arrow came off of the quiver and wound up, sticking straight up. When he got to like 3 pegs down, he decided to jump.
Oh.
But he didn't see the arrow sticking up and went right into his thigh.
Oh, my Lord.
So when you lower that bow down, you either got to lay that thing down on the ground, and you got to watch and make sure that none of that stuff fell out.
Man, I tell you, that's absolutely right, Paul. And last week, I don't know if you watched last week, but I kind of brought my bow and I kind of went over lowering your bow down, telling people when you pull your bow up, pull it quiver up, pull it up where your quiver is taking all the damage. And the same goes letting it down. That quiver needs to be the first. It needs to be going down, so it's, you know what I'm saying. So the arrows don't get hung up on all the limbs.
And I want to tell you, and I want to interrupt real quick. We talk a lot about bow hunting and stuff on here, but
luckily he was right behind his house, and he got there, and the emergency crew came and got him to the hospital right away. Or he might even bled to death if he's up in the woods somewhere.
Sure.
He got cut bad.
Man, that's horrible. But you were going to talk about a rifle?
Yeah, the same goes for a rifle in a way. You've got to take that shell out of that chamber.
Oh,
There's
man.
so many times a person wants to go ahead and just lower it down, and it doesn't take. It might be a little noisy. Maybe they don't want to make the noise or something. But you really need to take that shell out of that chamber.
Absolutely.
Completely unarm that gun.
Absolutely.
Because there's been people lower it down, and as soon as it hits the ground, it has gone off and has shot people in the stand.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. All right. Well, man, Paul, hey, we appreciate you calling in tonight, and man, we are real excited about hearing how your season went, especially using Top Secret. We appreciate you being a club member.
Hopefully I get Big Mo with this stuff, and if I do, I want to send you guys a picture.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, thank you, Big Paul, and we appreciate you calling in tonight.
All right, guys, you do a nice job.
Thank you very much.
All right, bye.
All right. All right. Tom, we got another phone call? All right, we got another phone call coming in. All right. All right, you got Stephen Mike Burklow. Who we got?
This is Susan from Camden, Alabama.
Susan from Camden. All right. Well, Susan, I can tell right away. This is for Mike.
Actually, I guess it could be. I was just going to ask about, I go hunting occasionally with my husband, and he's constantly saying, you can't wear makeup, you can't wear any hairspray, you got to take a shower, nothing, with scent. And I said, really, is that necessary? I just don't think that's very necessary.
Well, first of all, who's your husband? And I'll tell you if it's necessary. And let me tell you something. I think I know who your husband is. And yes, it is necessary.
This is Susan?
Okay, well, I just didn't see the point of it, really, because, we do see deer when we're out. And, sometimes I don't take the shower like he expects me to, or, I have on makeup. So I just didn't really see the concern.
Yeah, I don't see that. I think it's fine too.
This girl Susan, the only thing she's concerned about when she goes hunting is taking a pillow with her to lay on.
And looking pretty.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know about that, but I just know that my husband's very insistent about me, showering and.
Well, I agree with that.
All that.
I tell you, he sounds like a pretty good hunter to me.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Susan, thank you very much.
All right.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. There you have it. Hey, we appreciate you tuning in tonight and filling in for Big Don out on the road, and we've enjoyed tonight's show. And
I hope you don't get upset.
Yeah. We've had a lot of fun tonight, but tune in again next week. We'll be right back here doing the same thing.